And so we've managed that whole situation so we can get the future support from our foreign suppliers, that we will have the lines of credit when we need to accelerate the business again. Moving on to our branch network. We decided we needed to restart our work on our branch network, restart the growth. And we've done that not so much by adding branches, but by expanding branches. So during this past year, we've expanded Victoria Falls branch from 141 square meters to 390. Avondale branch, we moved across the road in Avondale. We moved from 82 square meters up to 236 square meters. Nice bit of expansion there. Query, we shifted from 225 to 694 square meters. That's our own premises, so it's quite convenient there too. We've gutted the whole place and we've opened it up, so it's much bigger, a lot more retail space there. And in that process, we crossed the retail space threshold of 10,000 square meters. We now have more than 10,000 square meters of retail space. Okay. We also, on the corner of Alps Road and Ferrari Drive in Plano, we opened a small branch there, serving, giving building materials to the northern half of Ferrari. Our branches there, Boreal and Mount Pleasant, aren't big enough to really cope, so we added that on to provide the building materials. Then, there's our Pomona branch, which is a couple of hundred meters east of that, which is 1,800 square meters. I'm sure any of you have driven along Ferrari Drive there recently, you will see the nice big Electric Sales Hardware sign there. That will open tomorrow. Barring a few hiccups, and there's still work ongoing. It's not going to be perfect, but it will be open tomorrow. So that is our plan to get that open, and hopefully that will service the northern half of Ferrari. I'm not saying the northern suburbs, because there's a lot more to the northern part of Ferrari than just the northern suburbs. We have Hatcliffe, we have Dobashawa, and we have all of the other development that is going on there, and that branch is intended to service that whole area there. We will be moving ahead with our expansion. It will be ongoing, but our focus really is to get more out of what we've got. To get more out of the existing branch network. As I showed you, the expansion of size, we're still too small in Chinoy. We're working on getting that bigger. So, but it's really to get more out of what we have. Opening new branches does build the overhead, and so really the objective is to try and get more out of our existing branches. We've had quite a few obstacles to progress this year. I've already mentioned about the inability to pay foreign creditors. That's been a huge obstacle to get to what we've been trying to get to. The trade barriers that we've had trying to import product into the country, whether it's Bureau Veritas or import licenses, punitive duties, just the chaos of Bike Bridge, that has been quite an obstacle to progress and to getting things more efficient and better. Even local products, where we've been able to source local products. Your manufacturers of local products have faced similar difficulties to what we've faced. They haven't had all the raw materials, and so even local products have been in short supply. And we've had a shifting of markets, and this has been happening over a period that we've had the man in the street having more spending money, and we've seen that more recently, where it's been the bottom end of the market that's had more money, and the top end of the market has been drying up. But I just wanted to make a point to this, that we've shifted to that market, but depending on what happens in Zimbabwe going forwards, we believe there will be a shift back. That industry, if things are done correctly economically in this country, we will see a slowdown of spending on the individuals, and I think we'll see an acceleration of spending by the corporates, the contractors, industry, etc. And we have maintained our ability to work in those markets. But we've had to move the shifting markets as has been an obstacle to us. Just want to mention briefly our other operations, our engineering operations. They're obviously not under the Electric Sales Hardware brand. And that's the combination of our old Relmo and Airflow and all the rest of those. We are maintaining them, they're still making a positive contribution. We've allocated much less resources there, and they're giving us a good, although the actual dollars we earn are not great, it's giving us a good return on capital investment. And it's ready for the future. We do have the skill, we still have the skills, we still have the base, and we can build that up. And I do believe that there's going to be a need for what we have in our engineering division in the future for an expanding Zimbabwe. So we have that still tucked away, and it's not costing us anything to keep it there. Moving on to the numbers, you obviously have you've seen the advert that will be appearing in the paper tomorrow. In there, sort of highlight a couple of issues. We've got a 30% increase in revenue. This is not inflation. This has been a volume increase, and it has come a lot from the new ranges of, we've had a big acceleration in building materials, etc., and that's the bulk of where that growth has come from. So we have had a big increase in the revenue. The product mix has changed. Again, more locally sourced building materials, etc., has pushed down our gross margin. We knew that that was going to happen, and we have done it in, we've been aware of it, and we worked with that. We've managed to maintain our expenses, not exactly where they were. There have been inflationary pressures on our expenses. We have done these expansions, etc., so they had a push. We've maintained our increase in expenses at less than inflation. As a result, we've had a 63% increase in operating profit, up to 2.3 million. Not pleased with what we've been able to do at the operating profit line. We've managed to increase our interest cover. You'll see our borrowings have increased. I'll come back to that later. But we've managed to increase our interest cover from 1.65 times to 2.75 times. A lot better off in terms of our interest cover. And the net result is our profit after tax is 140% up from last year, from 454 to 1091. So generally on the P&L, it's pretty good. But having said that, I don't want to say it's nonsense, because it's not nonsense. But the problem is that we've been adding up all of these dollars, and in there's different kinds of dollars, as you all know, there's different kinds of dollars. So it's quite difficult to get a true picture of what's going on in the business looking at the P&L because of the distortions. And it's far better to have an idea of the financial position looking at the balance sheet. Okay? Our inventory is up 30%. From 11.2 to 14.6. Inventory has gone up a lot. We've intentionally, where product has been available, we've intentionally taken additional stocks of fast-moving product. So where we may have been able to get away with 1 or 2 months, we've taken it to 3 or 4 months stock cover of those products because they're available and we don't know when they're not going to be available. We can change strategy as needed and reduce our stocks back down of those items. Conservative valuation of our stock. We have taken a knock on all of the problem stock that we've had in the past. That's been taken out of our balance sheet. And we've also made sure that we've costed stock at its real value. Okay, so we don't have huge inflationary figures in our stock. Okay, our stock is clean. And in that process, we've still been able to improve our stock days marginally only, from 138 to 131 days, which I think is quite good under the circumstances, given that what we're doing there. Our foreign creditors just on the sheet does look quite high, but in fact that is because of, at that point in time, we had high goods in transit, which we provided for foreign creditors, but we hadn't received the stock. So there was a good big goods in transit figure there. We also, at the beginning of the last financial year, purchased the premises that we occupy in Mount Pleasant, on Bond Street, next to the Bon Marché there. So that is now on our balance sheet, and obviously you did fund that from borrowings. And the borrowings have gone up from 7.1 up to 9.5 million as at the end of September. But despite that, we haven't had a big increase in the interest bill. But the main thing that we've had to do during this period is to try and maintain and build shareholder value, not through the P&L but through the balance sheet. And that's been quite important for us to build that the value in the balance sheet. We need a strong balance sheet coming out of the crisis. So it's been strategic management of the balance sheet for purpose of surviving the crisis. Quite simply, we maximize real assets. Stock, which has real value, property, which has real value. We've been doing what we can to maximize our value in that area. and minimize our real liabilities, minimize our offshore creditors, make sure we don't have too much exposure into there. Increase local liabilities, borrow local money to cover those that increase in real assets, etc. Having done that now, and having had the changes that's happened in the last month or so in Zimbabwe, maybe time for a change of strategy. And just to say that we are very conscious of the change. We're watching, we'll see the budget later today, we're watching what happens, and as needed, we are in a good position to change that strategy that we have had for the last year. Okay, I just want to move on to the team, the Power Speed team. And I've got to say thank you to my team that's worked with me. Martin and I and Spiwa, we work very, very closely, and it's been really amazing to get through this past year with what we've got. And I can't claim credit from it. It's been a team effort. Very dedicated, creative, hardworking. It's been amazing, and certainly would have been impossible without that team. So I want to make the point that we are all shareholders in one way or another. We do have a stake in this business, so we are standing alongside our shareholders. We're building value for all of us. I just want to raise another thing which really was quite something for me. On Tuesday of this week we had our annual long service awards. We awarded 20 awards for people who reached 10, 20 and 30 years service. That's what we kind of acknowledge. We do actually acknowledge 40. There were no 40 years this year. Okay? But 8 people who achieved 30 years service in this past year. 8 people, which I think is quite something. We actually have 27 people in our organization who have more than 30 years service. Okay? 1 over 40 years service. Okay? And I think in this day and age, that's quite something. And also bearing in mind what we are today. If you go back 30 years, we were part of Michelin Holdings, and we were doing stuff extremely different to what we're doing today. We've been able to retrain and bring those people forward. But another thing, to add to that, of the 8 people who got their 30 years service yesterday, 6 were women, and 3 of those are disabled. I think that's amazing. Anyway, I just wanted to share that with you. The future. What are we going to do now, going forward? We have been growing our market share. We believe there's still a lot of market share to get, and we will continue to grow that market share. We said already we're going to be maximizing our existing outlets, building on doing more than we have there. Critical to improve product availability. It's critically important that when somebody comes to one of our outlets, that they know that they'll be able to get what they're looking for, what they want. That whole thing, it's been quite painful the last year, not having the product availability at the levels that we needed it at, and that's going to be a key focus to make sure that we can improve that as far as possible. And you all know about the 3 most important things about property. What's it? Location, location, location. Well, retail, service, service, service. Okay, so there is a focus. We will be building our focus on service, making sure that service is there, and that's both from the experience that the customer has in the shop, the advice that they may get, but also the stock availability, the competitive pricing, etc. All comes down to service. It's important, and we will be working making sure that we have that, and through that we will build market share, we believe. Increasing trade in locally made products, that has actually done quite well for us, and working with local suppliers, we do think that it's a good thing to build local manufacturers as far as we can. Those people who are employed by those manufacturers will become our customers. The more value we can add locally, the better. Not at our customers' expense though. We're not going to buy stuff locally that's twice the price and half the quality just to support local industry. But we do believe that we can work with local industry not to end up in that position, and we can build it. We haven't been too focused on operational efficiency in terms of stock turn, stock management, etc. because of trying to get all the stock as when we can. That will be a key in future to get more efficient with our stock, especially if we do have significant growth in a real environment. We're going to have to get much more efficient on that, and that is already on the cards. And then new branches as appropriate. I there are lots of gaps in our market that we know we need to fill. We will have those branches, but as appropriate, as the circumstances allow, both in terms of our resources and in terms of what the market is doing. There's no point in overstretching yourself when you're not going to make a return out of it. At this point in time, we don't have a single branch that is not contributing positively. Whether it's in Chiritzi, or whether it's in Chinoy, or whether it's downtown Harare, they are all contributing positively. And we can add more branches on. We know that there's gaps where we can do that. And that's it. So, questions?
Thank you, Hilton. Ladies and gentlemen, before questions, I have a question. For those of you who buy an electricity, Hilton emphasized availability and service. Can you share your experience briefly on this? Availability and service. Anyone?
Surely we have a customer amongst you. If we don't,
none of you buys electricity. Where do you buy? Yes, sir.
Well, I buy it Liquor Sales Westgate because I stay close by. I think the service has been good. Maybe because I'm friends with the guys around there, so it's important to know. That's what I can say.
Availability?
I haven't had a problem.
Ma'am?
I visited the one by Summer Mass. The service was very good. I had a crying baby. The manager took me in his office, nursed my baby. Had these guys go to my car and check out what was wrong with it, and they prescribed the right things. And I think I left a good note for that guy.
Thank you.
Yes, I think for me, I go to Mount Pleasant branch as well. But what sticks out for me is most of us are doing this whole DIY stuff, right? And you find that on a Sunday, the branch is open on a Sunday. I appreciate that. I think that's one thing that stands out. And availability, every time I've gone in there, what I'm looking for, I get. If it's not there, I get a very close derivative of what I'm looking for.
Thank you very much. Now, Hilton. Yes, sir.
I would like to speak on availability. I think I've seen keen interest from the staff to ask what specifically are you looking for. And the next time you go in there, probably find something.
Hilton will take questions. Thank you very much.
But just on that, I just want to repeat that whole thing. If you think we're good, tell your friends. If you think we're bad, please tell us. and I say that in all sincerity. We do get calls from customers where they've had hassles, and we do face them, we do deal with them, and we try to learn from them and rectify. And this is important. I think the whole thing of having staff that are here for 30 years has a lot to do because of we are proactive. We're not sitting doing the same thing and watching the world go by. We are proactive. We bring the team in. We try and empower people, to make decisions and to be positive. And I think it's critically important that we continue to do that. And we need where things go wrong, and they do go wrong. Please, we do encourage feedback. Anyway. Back to what you got for that was what you got.
Hilton, my question is looking into the future. With some of your bigger lines, are you looking at introducing store credit?
Obviously, we stopped credit this past year because it didn't make any sense. We have had a means of store credit in the past, but it was quite problematic. And I think we're going to get quite quickly back to the stage where, if we get to a normal environment where we have stability, store credit will become important. And I think that is going to be an important part of where we are. But when you've got an environment where people are losing jobs and like we've had in the last year, it's just impossible. But it will be a critical function going forward.
Even at the individual level?
Even at individual level, absolutely. Obviously, there's a much greater cost to doing it at an individual level, but that is important.
Hilton, previously you talked about slimming down your lines. That's my first question. The second question is, Massmart will eventually turn up one day. They've got a footprint throughout the region. Would you look to ally, or would you look to go head to head with them? quite frankly, I actually said to Murray and Roberts, I said to Canada 3 years ago, I said to him, I said, go to South Africa, go and talk to Massmart, get the Builders Warehouse franchise, and go and set up a store on Harare Road, exactly where you are, on the Harare Drive. Well, that's lazyism again, you know.
Look, you know, quite frankly, you know, if guys with the size of the wallet of Walmart come in here, you know, it'd be a bit silly to just, you know, take a stance, you know, don't come to my turf, we're going to beat you. You know, you can't take that stance. So it's got to be a stance of, you know, we'll engage. You know, we should be part of a global market. We should be open to potential. And Massmart's one, but there are other players. You know, not only from South Africa, but they're global players that are acting in Africa. And it could be any one of those. So you know, at the end of the day, it's what's best for our shareholders. And I sat in this boardroom a number of years ago with Pashonet Holdings and watched a fight between directors and shareholders, and it wasn't pretty. And I'm not going to do that again. Anyway, sorry.
On the lines, have you slimmed them down? I think you're on 11,000, and you.
What we've stopped the rate at which we're expanding the lines, and we've tried to focus and make sure that the critical ones are properly stocked. So we haven't actually slimmed down as much as really focusing on making sure that we get all the ones we're doing now done properly. We did drop a fair bit of peripheral ones, but that was a while back. We pretty much put enough core now, and we just kind of, you know, you do a product range, and you suddenly see, okay, well we don't have that add-on item that is needed to supplement this product range. That's really what we're doing is making sure that when we do a product range, we have all of the supplementary products that go with it. But volume is critical, and buying power, and then making sure that you get your supply lines right, and you bypass the middleman, you go to the source, you get the best possible deal. You know, those are the critical things that we need to do, and you can only do that if you've got the volume.
Finally, that's what I was going to ask next, is your foreign import. I mean, I missed the first bit, you might have actually said it then, but your foreign component as opposed to your local, and then your local divided between your middlemen or your agents, and sort of maybe Martin's better at
in terms of the.
So I mean, of your product lines, what are we, 65% imports, and then of the 35% balance, what do you direct source yourself, like tiles and cement?
Of our total product range, we're probably around 50% value-wise is direct imports that we import ourselves. And the balance is local. And of what's sourced locally, again by value, not in terms of value throughput. What you did miss is that we're doing a lot more with building materials which are locally sourced, low margin. They don't generate the margin necessarily, but they do generate a lot of throughput. Okay, so in terms of value throughput. Probably of the 50% that we source locally, 30% of it is locally manufactured now, and only 20% is from local importers. So that's the kind of split where we are at the moment. And you know, obviously, where we can now, we're going to bypass the local distributor. It's been quite useful having local guys who can give you products that you weren't in previously. You can try them, test them in the market, and decide then whether you want to go big on those or not. I mean, solar geysers. There have been a few guys locally doing solar geysers, and we tested the market and we decided that it was a good market to be in, and now we get directly from the factory in China. And you know, we bypass the middleman on that kind of thing. So you know, but sorry for the guys in the middle, but that's life. I don't know, does that answer the question?
Yeah.
Okay.
No more questions? I thank you very much for coming. I thank Hilton for sharing. We have some snacks and tea and coffee and water. And we can do one-on-ones between you and us and find yourselves. Once again, thank you very much. And we take this opportunity wish you all happy Christmas, better 2018. If you haven't registered to vote, please go and register to vote and make a difference in 2018. Thank you.